So for my post-activity reflection, I'm going to be talking about the focus group that I had with Mr. Damian Smith, Mr. Jared Johnson, and Miss Caitlin Steckbeck. So right now, in terms of the interview agenda, we did follow it. I wouldn't say it was a formal agenda. I apologize. I need to turn off my walkie-talkie. I would not say it was a formal agenda. I would say it was an agenda that we knew what we needed to get done. So making sure that I give my participants what the focus of the actual focus group was, making sure that we started at a designated time and we end at a designated time to make sure that we can get to our class and or be at our stations on time. So we started at 7:20 and we ended around 8:10, and making sure that they understood that one of the biggest objectives of this focus group was to make sure they understood that I want to know how, one, you feel about professional development, the good, the bad, the ugly, and to be more professional about it, I'm going to say the beneficial, impactful, and the inadequate. So in terms of time management, making sure that we start on time and end on time, making sure that I allow teachers to get to where they need to be so they can prepare for class. Effective communication was important. So making sure that everybody's voice was heard, making sure that no one was cut off, collaborating, making sure one way we had to collaborate was we have to use Zoom because of COVID. We are trying to limit our being in same spaces together. So collaboration was still possible while doing it remotely here in my office and in their classrooms. Damian Smith was sick today. He had a stomach virus, so he had to do it from home, but still taking the time out to still collaborate with teachers is very important, even during times like this. Everyone was listening to one another, ensuring that everybody's voice was heard, everybody was given a chance to really express how they feel, and everybody given the chance to do so. And the relevance of our topic was, it was really about what we do as educators, really talking about, we are professionals and we need to develop ourselves as such, because when we don't develop ourselves as such, then we're not helping our students. So the focus of our meeting was to understand what is impactful, beneficial, or inadequate professional development. Hearing a lot of professional developments that were here before I was here, it was interesting to see that there were so many different professional developments that it could be a little bit nerve-wracking for someone that is not very happy about change. But I also think if you change every single year, I think it can get a little bit difficult and very hard to get your feet in the ground and feel consistent or rooted to help students. Some of my findings from the meeting about effective professional development really came down to, one, it had to do with reading, but then also making sure that the professional development is sometimes not all the time, but you come back to it periodically as a refresher, and possibly differentiating it to make sure that every single teacher can use it to help students. And lastly, I would say that the initiative has to be consistent. It can't keep changing every single year. That's one thing that some teachers expressed, were if it keeps changing every single year, I'm thinking I'm learning how to do one thing, I'm getting ready, and then all of a sudden it changes. I also think that our professional development has to be backed by data. A lot of times we like looking at data, but knowing how does that data push us to a new or existing professional development to help us? And is there any way we can get someone that's experienced in this professional development to actually help us break this down to other people in the building, so as though we are able to better ourselves, but then also to help our students? And that's actually one of the biggest findings, is when we do professional development as teachers, our biggest concern in the forefront of why we do what we do is for the betterment of the students. Yes, we want higher test scores. Yes, we want more kids to graduate academic honors, technical honors diplomas, but at the end of the day, we want our kids to graduate. Our professional development, what we do, we have to make sure that everything is centered around our students, has to be student-centered. If we aren't doing stuff for our students and we're just filling in sheets and papers and different files just to say we did it, then and we're not focusing on the students, then we're really not focusing on true professional development. And some things that I would recommend to the improvement of effective professional development to our faculty and campus, I would definitely say, one, we got to be consistent across the board. We got to make sure everyone's doing it. We also need to make sure that the initiative is consistent and doesn't change every single year. Because if that professional development changes every single year, then what were we doing? We just wasted a year. We have no data to show and nothing to compare from one year to another with this initiative if it actually helped. To do that, we have to be able to compare from year 1 to year 2. Next, we need to make sure that we are giving opportunities to teachers to actually go out and be professionally developed, not just in the school, but outside the school. Doing so is going to allow us to, one, better ourselves, but then two, to better our students, to ensure that we are getting more than just the opinions and the advice from people that are in our building, but from outside entities that maybe be well versed in what is going on in these, well versed in new initiatives or new opportunities that come up in education. And I think lastly, in terms of professional development, it needs to be timely, but not so timely that it takes up all the time of the teachers. We have to be mindful that teachers are not just doing professional development, they're also grading, they're also SEL, they're also ensuring and supporting the students. So we got to give them time to not only do professional development, but to be teachers and to be the bridge builders for their students. So with that, I would say great focus meeting, great post activity, great activity in general. I really appreciate Lamar University for giving me this platform to speak, and I can't wait to continue this program. Thank you so much.